Perfect.
Cool. We'll run with it, Matt.
All right. I'm Matthew Kemps. I am from Southern California originally. Been in Texas since 2013. Moved to Texas to play golf at Texas State. Finished up at Texas State, and now been in real estate for the last 5 years. Started at a different brokerage than I am now. Got lucky enough to be top 500 agent over the past 3 to 4 years, and kind of just been going ever since once Kaeli got on board with us.
Right on. And how'd this match made in heaven take place?
Hinge.
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 Okay. Let's put it all out there. Fantastic. And so I have personally been working with Lone Wolf Realty now for, I think it's going to be 3 years in January.
Yep.
So, Matt and Kaeli are running the team, and then they've got, you got 4 or 5 other agents, something like that.
We've fluctuated.
We've fluctuated a lot. We've been all the way up to 13 agents, and we've gone down to 3 agents at one point.
Gotcha.
We were on a partnership to start with, but then we kind of decided to split off, do our own thing. Then agents kind of dropped from there, and we built a little bit up, came back down. We were in Houston for a little bit, no longer in Houston anymore, kind of focusing on just the Austin market for now, and kind of doing that ever since.
Well, the thing I've always really liked about you guys is that in addition to all of the things that you would say about a real estate agent, great service, all of that, you guys have been very, very kind of just big on the sales side of things, right? You guys actually sell homes, where I know a lot of people think, okay, well, isn't that what real estate agents do? But some people would be surprised. There are definitely real estate agents out there that, in my opinion, just do a little bit more of order taking. You know, they're saying, hey, when you're ready to buy, let me know. Where you guys are actively staying involved with the people who are thinking about purchasing. You guys go after people that you don't know. You market. You do a lot of stuff like that, and that's really the main reason I was excited to have y'all on, because we talk about this whole entrepreneurial side of things, and those are a lot of the questions that I want to ask in regards to what are you guys doing to go after new business and everything like that. So, without holding back that question, we all know real estate right now, it's a little slower than it was about 1.5 to 2 years ago, and a lot of people are pivoting and figuring out the market. Some people, I've seen it firsthand, are kind of just laying down, and they're just waiting for it to turn. What are you guys doing actively in this market that seems to be working in terms of generating new business? And then what have you maybe tried that isn't working?
You want to start, or you want me to go?
I think one of the major things that we've done that's new this year is we've started a YouTube channel and started doing a lot of content on YouTube. And I didn't expect the ROI to be as fast as it is, but we've gotten leads out of YouTube very quickly. So that's one of the major new things we've done this year that I think I didn't expect to work, but it has worked.
Well, let's unpack that. I mean, just YouTube, what exactly, for the people who are out there that are in real estate or even in business, if you were to say YouTube, like what do I do? Do I just post videos? Am I doing shorts? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so we actually have coaching for YouTube, and they say shorts aren't the way to go on it. YouTube's not a short platform. That's more like an Instagram, TikTok kind of thing.
Okay.
But for YouTube, we're doing top 10 reasons to move here, top 10 reasons not to move here. I mean, we're being brutally honest and trying to get the most genuine people who want to move here, because those are the best leads.
Yeah.
And then we do property tours. There's not a lot of property tours on there, just because by the time someone sees this video, maybe a year from now, and that house is no longer
evergreen.
here. Yeah. So we're really focusing on reasons to move here, the different areas of Austin, kind of hitting all of them. I think we have some topics right now that are like, here's top farmhouses in Austin. And then there's a Get Fit. And we have a member on our team, Russ, who's very into running and all the things. And so he'll do that one where it's like Get Fit in Austin, and he'll have...
It's going to the point where we're having Russ do kind of more vlogs while he's running and run neighborhoods. So we had kind of shoot while he's running. So if he fits to a certain personality, it's perfect for them.
Exactly.
And that's kind of what we've been doing on the YouTube channel is, so I'm going to really tell you a guy or family who's really into the golf community. She's really just someone who wants to be out in the country a little bit more, can kind of explain that side. Cause Russ is going to be the more fitness side. James is going to be the South Austin kind of guy, go downtown, kind of that avenue. And we just have a bunch of different personalities, so we can all have our own different take on the channel, so we can kind of relate with as many different people as possible.
Yours is a lot of California too, because you're from California. So
that's what I was going to ask. It's like we're kind of showcasing Austin as a city, and the people who are attracted to that, are these people that are coming from out of state, or and I know the answer, broad stroke, is going to be all, but is it more people that are out of state, or is it maybe just more people that are like outside of Austin that want to move to the city? And what do you see the most?
We talked about that with our YouTube coach on our last session. 98% are out of state.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Especially on YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube really reaches the out-of-state people.
And
from what I'm
we
getting.
kind of got taught that for, I don't know the actual term, she'll know the term, but basically we're not sending our links to friends, family, and everyone else because friends, family are, oh, this is so cool. I'm going to watch 15, 20 seconds of it. Now my the time watched went down, so now I'm not going to populate in the algorithm for YouTube.
Interesting.
We want organic viewers, so we
Yeah.
want someone who's going to watch a little bit longer. So we don't share you won't see us share on Instagram, TikTok, everything else. We just kind of post to YouTube. If you find us through an organic search, that's how you're going to find us, and we're going to find the organic buyer looking to actually move to the Austin area.
Correct. And that's like the biggest mistake I feel like a lot of people
Yeah.
do is they like share it on their Facebook, their
Yeah.
Instagram, especially real estate agents, and it's like
It's harder to get your channel to grow because
your algorithm's so messed up.
Exactly. So let's just say you sent me a video. All due respect, love you to death.
Right,
But
right.
if you send me a 25-minute video, I'm going to watch probably 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And your percentage of view time is not going to be the greatest. It's the same thing. Shout out to my mom. If I sent it to my mom, she's going to watch, oh, you look so cute for the first 30 seconds. But
Yeah.
mom, it was a 30-minute video.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I do like is, and this you do this, is when you'll post the snippets of your videos instead of doing like the direct link to
Yeah.
the YouTube or whatever.
Right. Yeah. The
So that
intention is to
helps.
get them to go to it and kind of accomplish what you're doing. And
Exactly.
then, that's kind of
To get
something
more
you're giving-
information.
You're giving me like an aha moment a little bit here, where like I think the only difference between what I'm trying to do and what you guys are doing is you're really going consumer direct, right? I mean, you really want to get in front of that buyer and attract them with the neighborhood, the city, the houses, and all of that, where people don't want to talk to me when they're in that phase, right?
Yeah.
So like for me, my biggest audience really is like real estate agents, business
Yeah.
owners and things like that. So you're going to have me doing some soul searching in regards to some of the stuff that we're doing, because obviously we got all this content and like
Yeah.
we want to make sure that we capitalize on it as best as we can.
Exactly.
Any pain points with the YouTube stuff? Anything that you're seeing, or
It's just getting us to do it. It's getting us comfortable with doing longer videos because they want us to do over 15 minutes, I think is what it has.
15, they prefer to be 20 to 30.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's like sitting there and doing videos. It's not everyone's favorite thing to do. So that's it.
It's learning to just have your video going, whether it's you're in the car just talking, or it's you're sitting in front of your computer talking back to the camera and
Yeah.
just doing your thing. You just got to film.
Yeah, well, and I mean, we had Ina on here, Ina Kyle from Realty Austin, and she talked about her, concerns with being on camera
Yeah.
and everything along those lines, and it's kind of the reason why we designed the platform the way that we're doing it now, is with the intention of being able to produce some little bit longer content where you're just kind of sitting down and having an organic conversation, because we've had people come in here to do like scripted stuff, and I open this up to anybody, like within reason, of course, like come on, like we've got all of the equipment to do anything you could ever imagine. And we've had some people come in and do scripted stuff, and at the end of the day they're unhappy with it because it's just
Not
really
even close to working.
scripted.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're just like overthinking. Even if it's scripted, I'm like, this doesn't sound like me.
Right.
So I just feel weird when you do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
So this is the way that we've been trying to produce content, get clips, all that kind of stuff. And so I can see how, just actually doing the videos
Is the
hard
biggest
part.
hookup.
So example last night, like we get slacked at last week. We didn't get enough videos out. So last night, her and I collaborated. Just got to the team. Hey, team, Russ, you're doing these 3. James, you're doing these 3. I'm doing these 3. Kaeli, you're doing these 3. All these need to be done by the end of September, 1 per week.
We'll be good for the rest of the year.
Let's get this content out, and then let's kind of keep this on repeat.
Well, I think the question that everybody's probably asking if they're watching this, what is one of the number one reasons to move to Austin?
The number one. It kind of just depends on your personality. I mean, because
Give us a few. You're putting the content out there.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
Don't tease me.
I've lived here my entire life. I've never lived anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm more of a country kind of girl. We live in Liberty Hill because of me, not because of him. And
Right.
so I just like being able to be in that country aspect, but still be so close to a city
Yeah.
to go do what I want.
Yeah.
So I really like that about Austin. And then it's the hill country. The hill country gets me too. I like it.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Well, someone who came from Cleveland, Ohio, I can tell you. I mean, people will complain about the 2 months out of the year where it's really hot, but I will take it because
I'll take it.
you get 10 months of like amazing weather.
Yeah.
So, that's
Exactly.
my number one reason for moving out here. And then
Exactly.
there's a lot of opportunity out here. There really is. I mean, there's a lot of big businesses, jobs. I mean, there's definitely a lot of reasons to move to Austin. And I have to check out your video and see some of the things that you put together. But I like that. I like that kind of content.
Yeah, it's all different.
Adding on to Kaeli, opportunity, country, opportunity, and then the trade-offs you get from, let's call it, moving from a different state, let's call it California. You kind of got to the 2 months of the year where it's pretty crappy.
Right.
But the rest of the year is fantastic. So you have that trade-off where we have good weather at some points. But when it gets to the job opportunities and what you already had in other areas, you can trade that off for what used to be a very much lower cost per living. It's getting closer now to what they were used to in California.
Well, my new line when people tell me that they're from California is I look right at them and I say, "Welcome to America."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I just did a video about. I did a YouTube video about the cost of living because I was part of like why you raise a family in Austin, and one of them was the cost of living is technically still on the lower side compared to California.
Well, a lot of cities, yeah.
Yeah. So here specifically.
Especially price per home,
Yeah.
or just the average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things I always ask, just so that we can get kind of sound bites and whatnot for, potential buyers, I always find in my business that there seems to be something that, like a sticking point or a question that I'm constantly running into. So I want to try to keep things as relevant as possible. Is there something that you could put out right now as like a public service announcement to either your buyers or sellers, like, hey, if this, then that? Like, what do you feel like you're running into a lot lately?
I run into a lot. If you're okay, I'll just be blunt.
Yeah.
If you are considering not buying right now, buy right now.
Yeah, if you have the ability, if you have the ability to buy right now, buy right now.
Yeah, with where pricing is right now on a price per square foot basis compared to where we were, let's call it last year or 2 years or even 3 years ago, our pricing right now is equivalent to 2017, 2018. So we kind of we were here, we went up to here, we've come back down. Now we're pretty much stable. It's not going anywhere this way. It's only going to start going vertical.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I'm seeing, I'm pretty set. I like where I live, and then, I own another investment property, and truthfully, I'm kind of relaxed on real estate just because at the end of the day, I'm kind of content where I'm at. Maybe that's a bad word to use, but some of the deals that I'm seeing right now, it's got me thinking like, man, maybe I should buy another house because, I've got buyers right now that there's no doubt in my mind could not be able to buy in the last 2 to 3 years, even when rates were low, because they would have gotten bid out by people that were making offers, over appraised value. And I've got some clients where we've been able to negotiate some serious seller concessions to where we're buying interest rates down into like the 4s and the 5s and getting these deals done for these clients that even if rates were organically in the 4s or 5s, they don't have the cash to do the things that I know that they would need to do in order to get a home. So, I felt like we would see more of that last year when it first kind of took off, but I
can't catch up fast enough.
Yeah, I can't get over our industry. Like I've said this one on another podcast, the whole, marry the house, date the rate, right? We have heard that so much, like even just when I said it, I threw up in my mouth a little bit because I'm so tired of hearing it, right? It's kind of corny. It makes sense, but it's like a corny way. I had a buddy of mine. I mean, that, by the way, came out like in March of last year, of like 2022. So people have been saying it for over a year. I had my best friend contact me up in Cleveland who runs a printing company. He's like a big entrepreneur, smart guy. Calls me up and he goes, dude, you are not going to believe what I just heard. You got to start using this. This is genius. He's like, marry the house, date the rate. I'm like, you're kidding me right now, right? He's like, no, man. Like,
genius.
Isn't that so genius? I'm like, dude, people have been saying that for like a year. I can't even hear it anymore. But the moral is like, we say things for like a year, and here we think like, oh, people aren't catching on and nobody cares, and a year goes by, and then finally the general public is like, oh, okay, like we're actually going to do this now. And
Yeah.
as much as it's like maddening, it's also like, okay, finally. And again, I'm like seeing people going in with these, seller concessions, sellers giving up like really big amounts of money to
Yeah.
get these
Like more,
deals
more
done.
than commission.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And again, buyers that no way they would be able to afford in a more aggressive market. And again, I can't. I've been saying my crystal ball is broken, but every analyst and everybody's saying rates are going to reduce. And so some of these buyers that are coming in, buying these rates down, getting these deals done. If things turn and we see interest rates drop like 1.5%, even 2%, those buyers are going to look back and, those are going to be the boomers that tell you how smart they were.
Yeah, they're like too busy trying to outsmart a market instead of just like,
Right. And they're going to forget that they were like terrified when they were buying and
Yeah.
felt like they got totally screwed over in a crappy market with high interest rates, and then look back and be like, yeah, I was so smart. I bought at such a good time. So I guess that's a good public service announcement to any buyer right now. And then is there anything else you're running into seller wise? I mean, if I'm seeing more seller concessions, that leads me to believe that real estate agents are finally able to get through to some of these sellers and say, look, this is what we need to do to make this deal happen. Are you guys still running into a lot of issues, Matt? I know you're on the listing side pretty heavy.
So typically I am talking with the seller on where we are starting price wise, so we're not having to do concessions. If we price it correctly or just below market value to build enough traffic, we're getting strong enough offers. We're not having to give away concessions. The ones that we're having to give away concessions are the ones that priced at market value or slightly over, trying to be aggressive, trying to get the needle in the haystack offer, and then they kind of get on the back end, and their net on the back end is actually less. So pricing the home up front is probably the most important portion. So let's just call it. Let's say home value is market value is $450. We price it at $435. We get more attention to the property. We get more offers coming to the property. And I'm going to sound crazy saying this. The last 2 listings we've had in the last month, we got multiple offers on because we priced them correctly, and they were off the market in less than 14 days.
Wow.
And typically what we're seeing is 46 to 50 days on market. But if we're pricing the property just below market value to build the demand. Oh, hey, this feels like a good buy. It's a deal. Let's go snag this one. Then we build competition. Oh, we know we really want this one. Someone else comes in. We already have our heart set on it. Let's kind of get to it. It's already below market value. Now let's buy it at value. Don't do our concessions. We're gonna have to refinance our rate later on. Okay, let's move forward. So it's all about playing a little of a mind game and preparing your sellers up front, not having to do it on the back end.
Well, and what's interesting, and I've never even said this yet on the podcast, and I think this is a great one to kind of capture is like, I've sold a home before, personally, like in like my home, and it gets kind of stressful when 2, 3, a month goes by and like no one's really wrote an offer or anything like that, and you start to kind of panic, and then to your point, like now you're reducing the price. Now the people that are coming in are people who are ultimately they're like the vultures looking for, this house has been on the market for a month, and they're messing with you and everything along those lines. And so pricing accordingly, not only are we able through metrics to potentially show that that's what's going to get you the most bang for your buck or net you the most amount of money, but what about the peace of mind, right? Like even if I was to sell my house for maybe a couple $1,000, maybe even $5,000 less, like if it takes a month for it to go under contract, and typically contracts close in 30 days, that's 2 mortgage payments that I have to make right there. Not to mention all of the stress that I'm going through because here we are a couple weeks in and I haven't received any offers. Now I'm lowering the price. I feel a little bit defeated. Like, what's that worth?
Exactly.
And I feel like that's one thing that even
That's
as a seller,
value.
like I didn't really think about. And again, I didn't run into any issues myself, but I see other sellers that go through this stuff and they just look worked, man.
Completely.
Like they
just setting expectations. I mean,
Right.
it's getting better. It used to be so bad.
Because
You would go-
we were in such an aggressive market.
Well, and then it's that time right between the really aggressive market and like now where no one really knew that the real estate market was kind of just going down a little bit. And it was like, no, your value, we need to back it up a little bit
Right.
just so we can get more. Like, it's all going to work out.
Yeah, it's strategy. I mean, again, that's like I said in the very beginning of this, the reason why I was excited to have the 2 of you on is because I really do feel like you guys are selling, right? And there's value in that. Like, I think it's something that a lot of people forgot about in 2020 and 2021. I mean, I can remember real estate agents that would stone face me and say, "Oh, well, all I really want to do is just handle listings." Well, no shit. Like,
All of us do.
nobody had to sell anything. If all you really wanted to do was just have a listing, like, you put the thing on the market, people came in, you looked at a few contracts, and then anything that the buyers asked for, you just told them, hell no, like, we'll sell this to the next guy. And so hearing those comments and everything and thinking like, here we are in a market where we're actually like what I would consider to be a little bit more of a normal market where we have to sell, we have to have these strategies, we have to list these homes correctly. It's really interesting to see both of our industries where we've seen a lot of people who are like, man, I don't know what's going on. And of course they blame it on the business, but they never gave credit to it. They never gave credit to how easy it was. It was all them, right? They were just the geniuses that were just making money.
You actually have to work now.
Yeah.
Right.
So here's the
You actually have to be
crazier
good at your
part:
job.
is we're actually technically based off inventory, we're still in a seller's market, which is really hard to believe, even with where rates are at and with the little traction we're having. It still is leaned towards the seller's market because if you price your home correctly with the lack of inventory that's available, yes, inventory's gone up a little bit since where we were. We're about 3.5, 4 months of inventory. Trek says we want to have at least 6 months, so we're still below. If we have over 6 months and we go to 6 months or 7 months, we're going to be in a buyer's market. We stay below the 6 month inventory, we're in a seller's market, and if you price the home correctly and there's not enough inventory, you're still going to get the attention of the buyers because there's not enough things to go grab and go make offers on.
Right. So would you say right now, if you had to peg it, like, who is the most delusional in regards to what they're trying to accomplish? Is it buyers or sellers? In other words, like, are buyers going in and, making offers that are just insanely below what should even be, or is it sellers that are...
Sellers before they're educated.
Gotcha.
Once they're educated and there's a trust established between you and them, buyers are the crazier people in my scenario.
Yeah.
But the sellers up front have an expectation that they've seen their friends, family, neighbors, they get these crazy offers. I can go back to where our old home that we used to live at in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
I watched it. Her and I sold that property at probably the peak in June 2020?
Yeah, 2021.
2020, whatever it was.
About a year ago.
That same home is now under contract for another sale for $165,000 less than we bought it for.
But he also priced it correctly.
Exactly.
That was like the biggest example of pricing your home incorrectly and it just sitting there and then getting way less money than you should have.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not getting the details of what his personal side. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But that entire scenario is a perfect example, like Kaeli said, of we priced it correctly. We got the offers we wanted to. We were less than or 0 days on marketing, got multiple offers.
Well, we had a listing in that neighborhood that was less square footage and less everything. And got more for it because we priced it correctly.
It matters.
It does. It really does. It's a perfect scenario.
So sellers that are uneducated are harder to deal with than your traditional buyer, and then buyers, once they kind of feel comfortable in the market, start getting a little rowdy.
It's the worst when you get past like showing, I'd say probably showing 6 or 7, not house, but days of showing. You get past day 6 of showing a buyer. And they're like, oh, man, we can just dominate these people.
They get so confident.
You're just like, dude, okay, thanks.
Yeah. So I know that, predicting the future and everything along those lines is always tough. But outside of interest rates, I know interest rates is one of the things that's really holding people back. I mean, is there anything else that you think is holding people back right now that is eventually going to turn and you're going to see anything different in your market?
I have a bunch of people who just don't have cash.
Yeah, lack of cash right now and fear of what's going on in the economy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want to hold
Which
on
goes
to their
back to
cash.
rates.
Yep. Well, I mean, that's a good, and this is something that here I'm supposed to be the professional in regards to rates, but I had this conversation a couple weeks ago, not even on this podcast, just with friends and family. The one thing that I think is the obstacle that we run into in our business that you don't see in a lot of other businesses is a very, very strong herd mentality. It is something that you cannot, you can try to predict and you can try to control, but it's easier said than done. So in other words, we as real estate professionals can produce all this data, all of these metrics, all of these things, and until it's like basically accepted by the general public, it never seems to stick, right? So like here we're able to show the deals that are going on in regards to the current marketplace with interest rates and everything along those lines, yet there's somebody out there that watched a news article on CNN or something like that that knows more than everyone in this room. And this is one of those things that is so interesting to me about what we do is you could go to a party and, you know, somebody could talk about cars and it is like totally acceptable to be like, oh, I don't know anything about cars and I'm not interested. Sports, golf, right? Like I play golf, but I could probably name 2 golfers, right? Like I just don't watch golf. I don't get into it. I don't know who's who. I know how to play and that's it. And that's cool. But if you don't know anything about real estate, it's almost like people look at you funny.
Yeah.
And then in addition to that, as soon as real estate becomes anything that's talked about, I mean, I've been in the real estate arena for over 20 years, but there's a guy that, you know, works at Dell.
Who's the expert?
Who's the expert? I mean, and he will talk to me like, oh, you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's like, this is all I do, man. This is all I do. And so that right there is, I think, one of our biggest obstacles that other businesses don't experience because, and I don't know what it is, why that's a thing. Is it because like everybody has to live somewhere? So if they live in a home, they know everything about a home. I don't know.
I think like
Publicize the news so
that
much.
goes to it because you don't have that same issue on the commercial side.
Okay.
The few transactions I've done on the commercial side, you don't have. They look at you as the expert and the trust side of things. On the residential side, since everybody does have to live in a home, as long as we're not living under 183,
Right.
you feel you know a little bit more. You're more involved into it. You look on a day-to-day, not day-to-day, maybe weekly basis of what's going on, how it affects your day-to-day life. Not everyone is going to go buy a commercial property or lease a commercial property. It's going to be a business owner who's going to focus on that. But if you're working for a company and that's what you're focused on, you're not thinking on the commercial real estate side of things. So when you look at a commercial agent, that's like your trusted advisor. You go to them. On the residential side, you feel like you know everything, and it's like validation when you ask someone. And if they don't say what you want to hear, or if she didn't say what I wanted her to say, then I feel like, no, you're wrong. I know exactly what I'm talking about. You're totally wrong.
I think there's a lot of consumer data, just data that is so readily for
Yeah, I
any normal person to get into, and
Yeah.
they can